I'll take a look.
Here we are. Now destroy that bloody rune.
Shouldn't we at least study it first? I mean, we don't know what...
Are you deaf? Destroy it!
Alright. Take care of it now. But I need... privacy.
Are you trying to trick me, dwarf? I swear, if you...
Fine, come then. Come and keep shouting at me all you like, because that's the best way to ensure I'll make a mistake and have that rune cause your sister's brain to explode.
Alright. You'll get your privacy. I'll go find a bed for Myra in the meantime. She needs water and food.
Alright, here we are.
Iskrim? What's the matter?
I won't do it.
What?
You heard me. I will not destroy the rune.
Are you joking? This thing is what's controlling Lady Myra.
Yes, it is, but there's something I haven't told you. Something I only found out a week ago.
Yes?
The Shapers. I finally understand their secret. Why they persisted for so long. Why during their reign there was not a single power who dared to defy them. Not even the dragons. Why there was peace.
The rune.
It all makes sense now. The Shapers used these runes to control, to ensure stability.
They enslaved their own people by exerting mind control. Is that what you're getting at?
Enslaved? So a murderer put behind bars is a slave too? No, Tahar. They used the runes to protect their empire from its enemies, from outside and from within. Don't you see? This is the reason why there were no wars, no coups, no stupid rebellions. Because the Shapers had the power to correct misguidance. And the best thing about it? The control didn't even suffer. They merely had their views readjusted and continued to live on a normal life.
So what's your plan? Use the rune to create a second Shaper empire?
No, use it for the greater good. For us, for our purpose. For our battle against that lunatic Lacane. Damn it, Tahar. This might be the key that I've been looking for. The key for stability, for peace. I will not destroy it.
Iskrim, calm down. There has to be another way.
No, there isn't.
Iskrim, you've said it yourself. With Myra's current state of mind, she cannot help us win over the other houses. And without them, we'll never recapture Greykeep. Lacane will win. Please, you have to trust me with this. The rune must be destroyed.
Fine. Fine. But I'm doing this for you. You understand me? I will destroy it. But as soon as there's time, I will start my research again. And no, you cannot stop me. Agree with me or not, I know this power can do good. I just know it. It's done. Go see after Lady Myra, Tahar. I need time.
Will do.
I don't understand. What do you mean? Cold?
I don't know, Angar. I just feel different.
Let me see.
Tahar, what happened? Did the dwarf destroy the rune?
He did.
I see. Well, something is off. Myra, she's different.
What?
Myra?
I don't know. I feel strange, cold.
See? That bloody rune, it did something to her mind.
we destroyed it.
That's my point. Her mind, it must have suffered permanent damage. None of this should have happened. None of it. Myra, you should get some rest. Things might be different tomorrow.
Yes, brother. As you say.
Come, let us call your companions. There's things that need discussing.
I've been wondering, do you have a family? Heirs?
That question came unexpected.
Is it so hard to answer?
It isn't. No. I don't have a family. Save for my sisters.
How come?
Well, I'm afraid to understand my answer, I need to go back a little. You see, I had always known what my life would look like, long before it became what it is. You see, House Arendir is one of the eldest of Northander. The role of every Arendir had already been chosen the moment he or she was given birth to. For me, it was always clear that I would be the Lord Marshal of the Royal Army.
So your parents forced you to do this?
Let me put it this way. It was my duty. Of course, I could have rebelled, but even back then, I had already come to realize that the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few. Sure, I too had had my share of boyhood dreams, but betraying my parents and the realm had never been an option.
I still don't understand why becoming the Lord Marshal stopped you from having a family.
It was a choice. I probably don't need to tell you this, but love and marriage are as much a duty as any other. You cannot be a good husband or a good wife if you don't commit entirely. And the same goes for parenthood. And the higher I rose, the more I realized that people in my position, whose decisions affect the lives of tens of thousands, can and should only have one commitment.
Their duty.
Yes. I know it sounds dramatic, but it's the truth. I chose not to have a family, because the realm was my wife and its people were my children. Allowing somebody else into my life would have meant betraying the others.
I think you're wrong. Dedication and family don't exclude each other.
They do. But we've wasted enough time. You wanted an answer, and that was it. Is there anything else you wanted to know?
I'll be leaving now.
All right.
Yes?
All right. Now that my sister is safe and we have the Utran army beside us, we need to discuss our course of action. As I've hinted at already, there are two more problems we need to take care of before we can gather to convince the other royal houses to join forces with us and reconquer Greykeep.
Lakane's Iron Ones and the Leonida forces.
Iron Ones? You mean these giant walking armors?
Yes. We need to destroy the place where the Purity manufactures them. And we need to eliminate Amaria Leonida, who has allied herself with the Harbinger.
House Leonida has the strongest army in Northander. Wouldn't it be wiser to forge the alliance with Wulfgar and Hallett first and then deal with them?
It would, but Leonida is controlling the borders. In other words, until we've taken care of her and the Ironborn, we couldn't move the Wulfgar or Hallett forces, even if they agreed to an alliance.
Amaria Leonida allied herself with the Harbinger? Why?
Because she's probably the most ardent follower of the Purity's teaching. She was the first truly influential Nortandian to repent when Lekain's new religion was founded, and also the first to declare her unconditional loyalty after Lekain showed his true face and took over Greyfell.
That's not good. How do you plan to neutralize her? We can't just move our army into Leonider territory. That would be suicide.
Well, that's where we got lucky. Amaria Leonider has taken up position in the Eye.
In the marshlands? Why?
My guess is as good as yours, but I suppose it has to do with your father's laboratory. I doubt Lekain is done with it.
Wow. Seems like this will be quite the battle.
Indeed. Which is why we need a good strategy.
Any idea what these Iron Ones actually are? Golems?
No, I doubt it. They have the magical signature of a human. I guess we'll need to find out.
Yes, though I'm fairly certain the Harbinger's new magic has to do with it. The Archfire.
But if that's the case, how are we supposed to deal with them?
Well, according to my scouts, there is a place where they are being created by whatever unholy power is behind this. And it seems that this smeltery, if you want to call it that, is in the Windwall foothills.
So we travel to Windwall and burn down that factory. Is that the plan?
Yes. It's a simple task, but it won't be easy. We can be sure that the Purity is doing all in their power to protect it.
Fair enough. Then let's start making preparations.
Good. I'll be here if you need me.
Yes, Corporal?
Corporal Tahar?
How can I help?
Corporal Tahar!
Would you be willing to tell me more about your friend?
You seem to be quite adamant about this, aren't you? Fine, if you insist. What do you want to know?
How did she... how did it happen? The blood burn?
Well, I presume you are familiar with how the disease progresses, so there's no need to explain that part. As for when and where, we were with a small caravan near Everlight, on our way back to Greyfell. We had made camp in a small forest when the symptoms first showed. An old man, one of the caravan leaders, started coughing blood. I think everybody saw, but they all acted as if they hadn't. From that point on, it went straight downhill. Almost 3/4 of the group were infected. And by the next day, a young boy had blood running from his eyes. Do you know what's strange?
What?
Up until that point, I didn't even consider the fact that Myra was infected as well. The thought just didn't ever cross my mind.
How did you find out?
A blister. On the 3rd morning after that night in the forest, she took a bath in a nearby river and I saw it. That was it. I knew what would happen. And so did she. I insisted on riding back to Everlight and looking for a healer. An irrational thing to do, and I knew it. But I figured that a chance was better than none. But she wouldn't have it. I want to tell life when it's over, not the other way around. That's what she had always told me. And that night, it turned out she meant it.
She took her own life.
Yes. When I returned to the camp that night, I found a letter where she told me to meet her at a nearby clearing. I did, and found her laying on the grass, hands crossed behind her head, as if she was watching the moon. There was an empty bottle next to her, and I immediately recognized it. It was the merciful slumber, the most painless of poisons at our disposal. When you drink it, it's almost like falling asleep, very slowly. She was smiling when she faded away.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to ask? Let us see.
What's the matter?
I have news. Bad news.
Report.
The Iron Falcons from Aenir's Blade. They've sent word. A dragon has appeared near the canyon. An elder.
Are you sure this isn't a mistake?
Quite sure. The Iron Falcons found 3 keepers torn apart and scorched in a way that only a dragon could do it. But what's even more alarming is that the Falcons believe that said dragon is heading our way.
Why?
I don't know, Corporal. I just don't know. What are your orders?
Where is the dragon now? Is it moving?
I don't think so. According to the Falcons, it's landed in a small oasis in the Scorching Desert. A 1 or 2 day journey from Aenir's Blade. What will you do, Corporal? I know this war is hard and taking up all of your resources, but we cannot just stand by and watch while that creature comes at us, can we?
I'll travel to the Oasis and see for myself.
I understand. Want me to tell the others?
I'll do it when we head out. Dismissed, Private.
Sir.
That's the way. There you are. Tahar, I found something incredible.
What is it?
Remember how I asked you for permission to examine your mother's body? Undergas and I did that yesterday.
So? Were you able to learn anything?
We did, and this is what I'm so excited about. That jewel in the front part of her cranium. At first, we thought it was simply an ornament to mark her as a member of the priest caste, but it's more than that. It has magical properties.
What kind of magical properties?
It's somewhat similar to the Harbinger's rune. It's essentially a magical talisman that made them smarter and stronger. Long story short, despite her spirit being gone, the ornament still seems to be active. I think we could remove it.
All right. Do it.
Of course. Give me a moment, will you? Shouldn't take long. All right, Tahar. It worked. Here, take a look. Can you feel it? It's amazing.
You're right. It's immense.
Well, I guess now we know why the lower castes revered the priests as gods. Telepathy, magical ornaments. They were almost superhuman, so to speak. Either way, I think it'll help you on the field. Thanks again for your trust, Tahar.
Huh?
I'm still wondering what made you leave Kalea and travel the world to study demonology.
You're not letting this one go, are you? Alright, if your life depends on it, I'll tell you. To make it short, I grew up in the slums of Kalea. A shithole if ever there was one. Just imagine an entire quarter made up of half-ruined shacks with the smell of shit and piss everywhere. And way too many people. Then add the tropical heat to it and you've got the place I grew up in. My father had left right after I was born. My mother is what you call a day laborer. Though the days when she wasn't laboring outweighed the ones when she did. Whatever job there was, she took it. Even if it was cleaning the shit out of Kalaean canals. She worked hard, but it just wasn't enough. We lived in a windowless room and I shared a bed with my mother for the first 14 years of my life. Long story short, after a while my mother simply couldn't cover the expenses anymore. The rent for our room went up and jobs became less and less. Since the mage wars in Northander also affected the trade in Kalea. So my mother looked for someone to help her out, and found one. A man named Creo. He was a loan shark who had it all. A stupid name and a shady beard. 2 lackeys who followed him wherever he went. And above all, a complete lack of what other people would call decency.
I think I can see where this is going.
Sure you can. It's not the most unique of stories, is it? To cut to the chase, 1 year later we were in massive debt. Creo suggested my mother another way of making up for it. You can fill in the blanks. I was just too weak. Over and over this fucking bastard came. Had my mother tell me to go for a walk. And every time I had no choice but to obey. Do you have any idea how that feels, Tahar? To be that powerless? I remember one day I looked in the mirror and realized how much I hated the boy I saw. I hated his body with all its frail bones, his small arms, his bloodshot wet eyes. And that's when I decided to change things. So the next time he came, I fought back.
How did that go?
What do you think? He beat me up. And it was the same next time and the time after that. At first he found it funny. But after the fourth time he threatened to kill me. The only thing to stop